Hello and welcome back to the Villa View. 2 weeks ago, Matt and I discussed the future of Ross McCormack and what exactly was going on with the Scotland international striker. Of course, now he's moved to Nottingham Forest on loan for the rest of the season, so we're going to discuss him again. Obviously, Ross has left the club on loan now, and as long as Steve Bruce is here, it looks probably unlikely that Ross McCormack will play for us again. Where do you stand with McCormack now, 2 weeks on from our last discussion?
I must admit that I think that it's the right move. I don't think it's ideal that we've loaned him to another championship side in that sense, but he was never going to get a game under Steve Bruce, and the way it seems like he was a disruptive member of the dressing room, so it seems the right move to let him go. I am quite bitter about it because he's come to the club and thrown up a strop, and for £12 million we've got absolutely diddly squat for it, and it's left a real sour taste in my mouth, and it's just another carnage signing from the summer as well, along with the likes of Galini. And it's just a real shame because I thought £12 million is going to be our main man, but it seems that he's come to the club, thought he's Billy Big again, and it's just really not worked out for him.
Obviously, you say we spent £12 million on him. We're probably quite heavily subsidising his wages as well, and obviously Forest are in a similar position to us in the league. Why is it we find ourselves in these dodgy situations all the time?
It's just typical Villa, isn't it? I've sort of got used to the fact that we make a mess of our own situations and don't do anything to sort it out. I think Ross McCormack's on about 30 grand a week. That Forest playing at least 30 grand. So I don't know how much Villa are playing, perhaps about 20 grand a week towards him still. I think Alan Nixon said that he's on 30 grand from Forest, and then he's probably on a bit from Villa still as well. But I think that this situation was always going to boil down to this point where he had to go on loan. I don't think Steve Bruce wanted a bad egg as such around the squad, but really, who else was he going to go to? I can't see him going to somebody like Norwich, who is a direct rival in reality, but at this moment in time, Forest are a direct rival. And sadly, the position we're in, it could well be shooting ourselves in the foot. What
do you make of his lack of apology? Because it's not as if McCormack was asked to apologise to the playing staff. He wasn't asked to apologise to Steve Bruce directly. Steve Bruce simply wanted him to apologise to the Villa fans, and he'd have got a look in again. But why was he so reluctant to do that? Is it just a case of egos again at Aston Villa Football Club?
It could be the case of egos, as I've touched on before. He's rocked up and done it all in the past 3 years, one of the best players in the league, and he's rocked up to Villa Park and thinking, oh, I've made it, I can give up now, I can throw the towel in. And I think it could be the case of a big ego trip from him. But I think as well it could be the case of just pure stubbornness, perhaps, that the argument is not as we know it in terms of what we've heard in the papers and what he's said. We perhaps don't know the full picture of what Steve Bruce has said to him in terms of apologising and so on and so forth. And perhaps it's just him just being an absolute idiot to the fans, because in fairness to him, we did throw a lot of support behind him. I think a lot of fans gave him the time of day to try and do something for us, and he didn't really do much to warrant anything worth even near £12 million. And it's a real shame that he's burned these bridges like this, because there's no way back for him now, for me. There is no way back for him at Villa Park, and I think it's a real shame because I think there's a really good player there still, and we've seen it a few times with his movement and his ability on the ball, but we didn't see enough of it, and now this poor attitude has burned totally any bridge. And I think it's harder for him, for example, to build a relationship back with the fans than it is for somebody like Gabby Bonglahor, because Ross McCormack's achieved jack all with Villa in comparison to Gabby Bonglahor that's done something. How do you see it?
I'm frustrated, as is the usual buzzword with anything to do with Villa at the moment, because especially as we did a video on it 2 weeks ago, and we stuck up for him a little bit, and we speculated maybe if he wasn't well, possibly that could be something to do with it, but it really doesn't seem as if that's the case now. I'm just frustrated and annoyed that we've spent big money on a player that's scored goals for the last 3-4 seasons in the Championship. If he scored 20 goals a season in the Championship, which is a hard league, then he is a good player at that level. But then, as always, being at Villa, something seems to happen. But like you say, people seem to think they've made it, that they're at a big club, that they don't need to work hard anymore, and that's a basic requirement of being a footballer, who's coming to work every day and working hard. And it seems as if just coming to work is beyond the guy. I mean, apparently he missed 5 training sessions, which is completely unacceptable. And I get that he can't jump over the gate. I understand that, but if that isn't the first time he's missed training, and obviously Steve Bruce is right to think it's the boy who cried wolf. I would if I was Steve Bruce. It's just a frustrating situation, and the summer business now, if you look back, I think it's £22 million worth of footballers on loan now from Aston Villa, and that's just players we bought in the summer, and that's not good business. And as I say, we're probably paying a fair chunk of his wages. It's just a disaster, isn't it?
It is a total disaster, and we live and learn from these mistakes. As we've said before, obviously Steve Bruce has come in and looked at the situation and totally changed what's happened in terms of player numbers. Like Aaron Tishbola's gone as well, Ross McCormack's gone, and apparently both of them are to do with attitudes. So it's quite interesting to see Forest have picked both of them up. I mean, interesting to see how both of them do. In terms of Ross McCormack, though, I think it's the case of seeing through to the summer. If he can score 10 goals, for example, God help us if that is the case, because that could put us right down there. But if, for example, if he did, then we might be able to recoup some of the money for him in the summer. I think we'd be talking probably half the price, but at least that's half the price recouped.
I mean, I don't think he'll do anything down there. I think he's unfit, so I think he'll struggle with injuries while he's down there. Although they beat us, they're not the most free-flowing side in the world, admittedly. They have been doing better recently as well, but it's going to be another one of those players that we end up giving away. I mean, look at us. We couldn't give away Guzan, and well, we had to give away Guzan, Lescott, people like that in the summer, and this is going to be another one that we end up taking a massive hit on, and probably will end, when he does go, we'll end up subsidising his wages like we are Lescott's at the moment. If you're making Gabriel Bonlahor look like a well-behaved member of the first team squad, then there's a problem, isn't there?
Yeah, you've summed it up perfectly there. If you make him look like a good member of the squad, then God knows. But I think the one point you could take from this is, this is hypothetically, I know there's probably no chance of it happening, but if Steve Bruce did go, I'm saying this very hypothetically because I don't want Bruce to go, but if he did, would there be a way back for Ross McCormack, or would this go higher in terms of Dr. Tony and Keith Winus and Steve Rand?
I think what the manager says goes. Like, we all thought Gabby was finished, but obviously Steve Bruce had other ideas. I mean, I don't think Steve Bruce will go. I know you're saying it's a hypothetical question, but you can't really rule out anyone coming back and playing for the club after Gabby's made it, because obviously anything can happen. It's sickening that we're in this kind of situation again, discussing a bad egg that Aston Villa are taking the hit for. It's just, we shouldn't be having it happen this many times. I feel like the club's absolutely cursed.
To me, is it the case that it's just the culture at Villa Park and that everything about the club is still a Premier League club? Ross McCormack has never had that before. I think he needs to be the main man somewhere, but the type of player he is, many teams play one up front. I don't think you can accommodate him as a lone striker, so we obviously kind of dropped him into a number 10 role, and I think he was probably a bit put out by that, to be fair as well. The only striker he linked up moderately with was Gusted. Aston Villa have been taken for a ride by so many players over the last 5-6 years, and I do think that kind of thing's going to stop now with the ownership and the strong manager. I'm just sick to the back teeth of discussing people disrespecting Aston Villa Football Club, and in the main, they just seem to have no respect for the fans, the people that are there cheering them when they're not doing very well each week. Like, it's not on, and this has to be the last time that we have to do a video discussing the misbehaviour of a Villa player. It just can't happen anymore. That's it for today. Another sobering Villa View video. Please let us know in the comments what you think of Ross McCormack, although I perhaps feel that I already know what's coming there. You're probably not best pleased like Matt and I. Remember, if you could like the video, that would be great, and also subscribe to the channel. We're running a great competition at the moment to win a signed John Gregory 98/99 home shirt. All you have to do is be a subscriber to win, and don't forget to check out the first part of our interview series with the boss man himself. Cheers for watching. If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another one? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. And don't forget to subscribe. Click on our logo there on the left and press subscribe. Easy.